Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to do an It's Armageddon. But luckily, we've got some pretty nice aliens this time, so they're not asking for a whole lot like they do sometimes. My excellent negotiation skills in play here. And my question is, what if you had to give up one story from each classic Doctor? So the first 7 Doctors, the classic series, what if you had to sacrifice just one story from each Doctor? The caveat being, for the 60s Doctors, for Hartnell and Troughton, has to be complete stories. It has to be a complete story. It can't be a partially missing or completely missing story, because that's kind of too easy to cheat there. Has to be a complete story for them, which gets really tricky with Troughton because he only has 7 complete stories. What story would you be willing to give up from each Doctor? And it's gone. Like, we don't get to keep any copies of it or anything. You know, can't even keep the novelizations. They get all of that story. It's just gone. And I'm going to kind of do these on the fly. The first Doctor, I would probably give up the Web Planet. I've talked before about the Web Planet, and I love Season 2. Season 2 is my favorite Hartnell season. But even the Gunfighters, I would keep over the Web Planet. Like, the Web Planet gets points for me because of its ambition. Anytime I talk about the Web Planet, I talk about how I will always respect the ambition behind it and the fact they tried. But at the end of the day, it is unpleasant to watch. It has good moments, but overall, it's a very unpleasant viewing experience for me. And I actually think, if I was ranking the Hartnell era, I might have the Web Planet slightly ahead of the Gunfighters just because I respect the ambition behind it. But as for actual watchability, if I had to go back and rewatch one, I think I'd rather rewatch the Gunfighters, partially just because the Gunfighters is 4 parts. I think I'd rather rewatch the Gunfighters, song and all. So I would probably give up the Web Planet because it really should have been a 4-parter. They should have taken that extra money from those 2 episodes and put it more into the budget on those 4 parts. As a 6-parter, it just drags. For the second Doctor, it's got to be the Dominators. The Dominators has some things I like. I like some of the guest cast. Troughton's great in it. Frasier's great in it. But, you know, the Dominators is probably Troughton's weakest story. Like, the Dominators is easier to watch than the Space Pirates simply because of the missing episodes and the lack of telesnaps for Space Pirates. But I do think Space Pirates is an actual better story. I think Robert Holmes wrote a better story. Whereas the Dominator story is just kind of and isn't executed the best on screen, even though I like some of the performances in it. Especially since I like the rest of the surviving stories. There's none of Troughton's other surviving stories I'd be willing to part with. I like them all to one degree or another. So the Dominators would definitely be the one I'm like, here, take this. For the third Doctor, I would probably say The Claws of Axos, which is still a good story. Let me be clear, I don't think there's any bad Pertwee stories. Even though some of them I've only seen once, like The Mutants and the Time Monster, I've only seen them the one time. That could change on rewatch, we'll see. But Claws of Axos and Planet of the Daleks are kind of my 2 least favorite Pertwee stories. But Planet of the Daleks is, you know, kind of half of a space epic, since it kind of goes right with Frontier in Space, so it feels a little weird getting rid of it, because then Frontier in Space just kind of would awkwardly end, which it does awkwardly end until Planet of the Daleks starts. So between the 2, I'd probably get rid of Claws of Axos, despite, even if it is my least favorite Pertwee story, it's still a good Pertwee story. It's an enjoyable one. I mean, it's not bad. It's some of the choices made executing the story I have problems with, more so than the actual writing of the story. And the story still has stuff I like the FBI guy. He's great. I like him. So while it's probably the hardest one on this list for me to sacrifice, because the Pertwee era is just such a strong era, that would probably be the one I would let go, because I love the Pertwee stories. They're all good to one degree or another. For Tom Baker, yeah, I would go the obvious choice that you guys know I would pick, The Power of Prowl. It's a little harder to pick it because it is part of a seasonal arc, and that would make the rewatchability of The Key to Time difficult for some people, because you'd only have 5/6 of the story, really. And I can certainly understand the argument people would make, well, you can't get rid of any of season 16 because it's all part of a larger whole. Even if the stories are only roughly connected by the piece, they do work as separate stories very well. That's just, as much as I love Robert Holmes, and I do, the execution of the Power of Kroll is so disappointing to me. I don't think it looks good. I think this is the one time where even Tom can't do a lot to elevate it. And you guys know I love Tom. And he does have a couple really good moments in the story. But even he seems to be struggling to elevate it. Now, the other one that could be a contender might be the Leisure Hive. I could see myself, maybe if I didn't pick that, picking the Leisure Hive. But I enjoy the Leisure Hive well enough. I don't think it's good. I think it's a bad story. But it's certainly watchable. I don't mind going back and seeing it every now and then. I love the old man makeup they did for Tom. It looks really convincing. Far more so than old makeup they use for people now. So I could see myself picking the Leisure Hive, but I find that more enjoyable than Kroll's. I would say the Power of Kroll, despite knowing some people would disagree with me because that whole season has that overarching story arc. For the 5th Doctor, probably Warriors of the Deep. Now, I know some of you might expect me to say Kinda, and I'm not a big fan of Kinda, but one, as Snake Dance is a sequel to Kinda, you kind of need Kinda to understand Snake Dance. 2, the second half of Kinda does pick up a lot. And there's definitely some neat ideas in Kinda, despite me not liking that story. I would definitely get rid of Warriors of the Deep. There's just not a lot of redeeming stuff in Warriors of the Deep. That's really not. I think it's actually pretty bad. It could actually be my least favorite Davison story. I haven't actually rewatched the whole thing in a while, but I did watch Jess's video on Seska Says when she reacted to it, so I kind of got the cliff notes of it. I've been waiting for the box set to come out before I fully rewatch it. But it just, yeah, even watching the cliff notes, I was like... So I would probably be like, here's Warriors of the Deep, but these aliens are really not going to like Doctor Who, are they? For Colin, this actually took me a second until I remembered the Twin Dilemma existed. Because for a second there, I was going to say Mysterious Planet. But at the same time, you run into that same problem. If you pick anything from season 23, you're removing part of the overall story, which is very integral to that season, The Trial of a Time Lord. Because you're missing out on a lot if you remove anything from that season. So while Mind Warp is my least favorite Colin story, which it is, it would be a little awkward for future generations to try to watch it with that piece missing. And I knew I couldn't take anything out of season 22, because I love season 22. I mean, even Time Lash to me is enjoyable, especially with the updated effects on the box set. Plus, it's Paul Darrow. I am not sacrificing Paul Darrow. I absolutely love Paul Darrow as Tecker. He's one of the things that carries this story. Plus, I love meeting, was it Herbert? H.G. Wells, let's just be honest. I like him as a character in this. And the Borad makeup looks amazing, let's be honest there. So I couldn't get rid of Time Lash. I like all of Season 22. Season 22 has no bad stories for me. So, and I was really stuck for a second, and then I remembered, wait a minute, Twin Dilemma. So, yeah, I would get rid of Twin Dilemma. As someone who finds Twin Dilemma to be, while bad, very bad, I appreciate it more than most. I don't think it's the worst classic Doctor Who story. I don't think it's the worst Colin story. It has things I like about it, which I've talked about before, like the basic plot, for example. Some of the guest performances are also bad, but a couple of them are good. And some of the costume design looks really good. So I like some of the stuff in it. But yeah, it's definitely kind of the easy pick. Like I said, these aliens are going to get back and watch these Doctor Who stories and be like, ooh, which is all part of my cunning plan to make the aliens not come back for more stories. They're going to be like, good God, these Earthlings make terrible TV. This Doctor Who show is awful. All right, well, then they'll be like, the Claws of Axos one was pretty good. And then they'll be like, but the rest of them were pretty bad. We're not going back there. I'll be like, aliens, are you coming to get more Doctor Who? They'll be like, no, we're good. Did you give us the best episodes? Yeah, that's what I did, the best ones. We don't want any more Doctor Who. Whew. I mean, Darn. And of course, the story I'd give them for McCoy, most of you already know, Delta and the Bannerman. Have it, take it. Again, while Delta and the Bannerman has some stuff I like about it, I'm not a fan of it. It's easily my least favorite McCoy story. I'll take Time and the Ronnie over Delta and the Bannerman almost any day of the week, unless I'm just in a mood to rewatch Delta. I think I've watched Delta twice now. I'm sure I'll rewatch it again eventually. It's not unwatchable. I'm just not a big fan of it. It'll be a while before I go through it again. But that's easy for me. Can you imagine that being the choices the aliens get, like the Web Planet, the Dominators, the Claws of Axos, the Power of Kroll, Warriors of the Deep, the Twin Dilemma, and Delta and the Bannerman? We shouldn't have to be worrying about those aliens again for a while. Clever negotiation skills, yes. Those are definitely the ones I would pick. I want to know what you think of my picks and my strategy. And I want to know which ones you would pick to hopefully ensure the aliens don't want any more. So comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down there. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Sam Venning, Unknown289, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support. So do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. A link to the Amazon wish list is down there. A link to the Amazon UK wish list is also down there. Check those out. I update those regularly. Most importantly, thank you for watching.